Millenn, a short story by DK, aka me. It was a dark night. I was with a friend of mine and having a slumber party with a few of his friends. My friend here is Christopher. The others here are Bruce, Philip, Caleb, and myself. Christopher, also known as Chris, was the one responsible for hosting the party. We were set up in the basement, all bored after playing video games for hours. And that also includes watching a few movies that were aired on the major networks. So, we decided to scare the daylights out of ourselves and tell scary stories. We all got out our sleeping bags as we started telling our tall tales. Christopher talked about how he saw a creature with no face, and Caleb told the story of the spooky hide-and-seek legend. If you don't know, a kid and his friend played hide-and-seek, and the friend of this kid died to a goat demon thingy. Anyways, Bruce and Philip chickened out, so it was my turn to tell a story. So I grabbed a nearby flashlight, turned off all the lights, took a deep breath, and spoke. Long ago, there was a chromiolite named Reaper, who one night was cursed by a dragon god of 3 gold heads. This curse brought forth the legend of Millenn, the devil of darkness, and the face of death. After a small pause, I continued. Millenn is a heartless, soulless creature with skin as black as night, standing nearly 7 feet tall with wings half as long. He swipes the ground with his tail as he walks, its shadow blotting out the noonday sun and its spiked end singeing the grass with a dull red glow. His hands are odd. His left hand is like a normal human, but his right hand is like a claw that's missing its thumb, which is used to steal the soul of its victim in one quick swing. I notice everyone starting to look at each other, terrified with eyes as wide as dinner plates. Then, cold air began to spread amongst the group. Philip began to shiver. I started getting a feeling that I was going a bit too far with this, but I didn't care. So, I continued. His face is the worst of all. He has 2 large red horns sticking out the back of his head. His eyes are pitch black but with small red dots for his pupils. His mouth looked normal, but the middle of the lower jaw was split apart, revealing hundreds of razor-sharp teeth that would split in half again to reveal even more, each as pointed as before. They would slice down his meal in a swift second. They bite down faster and harder than a snapping turtle. Caleb interrupted the story and said, Hey, maybe we should get some sleep. I'm getting pretty tired. I know he gets scared pretty easily. I felt like scaring him more would definitely make him jump out of his skin. I moved on, ignoring the question. Millenn only comes out once a year on the night of a special day. It's known as Death Night. Christopher asked, Why Death Night? I replied, Because he catches so many souls on that night. Also, it happens randomly. It changes with the years. The only evidence of its passing being the amount of bodies he leaves behind. Anyways, I continued my story. Once every year at around 3 a.m. on Death Night, Millenn will appear to take the souls of the careless and the greedy, the people that don't care about the existence or belief of a higher being. After a few seconds of breathing, Bruce busted in and asked, How do we know he's near? I replied, The only way to know he's near you is to hear someone singing in a small song. You'll feel a cold and shiver, even in the dead of summer. Your heart will feel like it's about to explode. After that, I moved on. The song goes like this. 1, 2, Millenn, or death has come for you. 3, 4, better lock that door. 5, 6, say your prayers. 7, 8, better stay up late. 9, 10, don't sleep tonight. I kept on going. Millenn will hear you and try to find you, hence why it says hide. He'll try to get into your sleep. And if you don't hide, he gets you! Everyone jumped out from their seats, and I'm pretty sure Caleb's inner existence left the room. After that small little song, anyway. Philip went ahead and said, "Wow, that was really scary. At least it ain't real." After he let out that small giggle, he took out a flashlight to tell his own story. After the little story session we had, we all got tired and fell asleep, thinking that would be the night. It was easier said than done. I woke up at around 3:05 a.m. after hearing a sudden thud coming from deep in the basement. This really started to worry me. 1, I hate sleeping in the dark. 2, all 5 of us were in the basement. But the scariest of them all, number 3, the sounds were massive, and especially coming from the dark. I got up to go investigate what the noise was about, when I heard a little girl sing. 1, 2, death has come for you. 3, 4, better lock that door. I heard the song, and heard something that sounded like souls screaming. I ran in the opposite direction to wake up my friends and tell them to hide. But I was too late. They were all ripped piece by piece. Their faces looked non-human, as Caleb had half of his face ripped off. Philip had an incision at the bottom of his rib cage, as all of his organs were extracted. Chris was nowhere to be seen. I almost vomited, but was stopped when I heard a faint "Run!" coming from behind me. I didn't even turn around to look, as I instantly booked it out of the basement into the front door. After I got past the basement door, I saw the front door wide open. I assumed Chris heard the sounds and fled the house. I nearly got to the door until it shut on me, completely on its own. I tried opening it, but it wouldn't budge. I panicked till a whisper broke my thoughts. "Death never comes out at random once a year. It's always here." From behind me, I slowly turned around and gazed at the red dots in his pitch black eyes. The following morning, a police car blares its sirens as it arrives on the scene. An officer named Earl stepped out of his vehicle, and as his radio blares, "Is anyone there?" the chief asked on the radio. "I'm here. I'm going inside," Earl replied. He entered the house and saw a gruesome sight. Blood was all over the place. Dear God, that's a lot of blood. Also, I found 5 bodies. Earl spoke on the radio. That's when something caught his eye. A note was found near one of the bodies. The cop approached the note to see what it said. Earl took a closer look as the note read, "Death is always here. M." Earl had a moment of confusion as he thought to himself, who would kill these kids and leave a note talking about death, especially with their initial being an M? Earl then had a realization sink in. He remembered the story he was told as a kid. The story of Millenn, the being exclaimed. That was Millenn, written by me. Yeah, some parts of this story are confusing, but that's just my mindset when I write stories. I also like to give a bit of a shout out to Stargazer and Echoes of the Voice for proofreading this and also editing this, so that it would provide a little bit more sense. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you really enjoyed this, smash that like button. Obliterate the subscribe button if you really enjoyed this. It doesn't hurt. I'd also like to mention that a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. So, again, like I said earlier, it doesn't hurt. Go ahead and smash that red button. And also, if you really enjoyed this, consider joining my Discord. I'll also provide the link down below. Again, the story was written by me, so there's no link to the author or the story. Well, that's all. This is Godzilla Man, signing off. Until next time. Have a good day, everybody.